Target is at 170.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Just tell me this isn't a U-boat. Anyway, here I am in my Corax, my light missile active tank Corax. I'm in a tier 0 abyss, just having a little fly through, just to see how they're getting on. Very easy thing to run through in this Corax, I must say. You need 2 filaments to do it. You do make a profit doing it, a kind of a steady profit, and if you can't find any sites to do in your Corax, it's always an option to pop up and do one of these. But no, this ship is all about controlling the range. You've got some reps if you need them, but you shouldn't really need them. You stay a good 40 kilometers away from whatever it is you need to take down, and you do it at your leisure. That's the basic idea anyway. This is actually the very last loot box on the site here. There's nothing really to tell on this site. What I'll show you on the den and on the 3 out of 10 is just what you apply here, but the ships that you find in the tier 0 abyss you will take down very quickly. None of them are going to put you under any great pressure in your Corax. So you make about, well, made about $1 million profit here. 2 filaments is worth about 400 grand now. I love these new warp animations. I love them very much. And the abyss one with these red cloudy flashes, yeah, that's really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah, we made about 1.5 million on that site. Not a bad way to make a little bit of cash at all. Okay, so we're in the hangar, so we'll have a look at the fit, and the fit that I've been using in this video, and it is pretty much the same fit that I used when I had this out on the low sec belts. It's the Light Missile Launcher 2s, which all through this video I'm only firing the Scourge Light Missiles, the regular cheapest chips ammo. I've got a 47 kilometer range, and that's giving me just shy of 130 DPS, 129.5 in fact, without overheating them, and we won't be overheating them. In the mid slots I have got the compact shield booster, compact cap battery, an enduring afterburner 1 meganewton, and a compact multispectrum shield hardener. We're a little bit tight on CPU on this fit, really because of the Tech 2 missile launchers. So we've only got one ballistic control system 2, and I've gone for the restrained nanofiber structure in there, just to make the ship a little bit more agile, a little bit quicker. In the rig slots we've got one shield extender, we've got one EM shield reinforcer. It's to close that EM hole, and strictly speaking, if you were only going on Serpentis sites, you'd be better off putting a thermal hardener in there. But if you want to go onto the drone sites as well, without having to think about it, definitely close that hole. And if you're going anywhere that you're going to get players shooting at you, definitely close that hole. Third rig slot, I've gone for one of the Warhead Calefaction catalysts. That's simple 10% more damage to our missiles. The downside of that is increased CPU, which increases obviously the demands, the extra demands that are already there for the Tech 2 missile launchers. So if you're really shy on CPU on these fits, maybe think about changing that for a little bit more tank, or something just for a bit more agility, speed. I'll leave that to you to have a little think about. You can also mitigate that drawback by training your missile rigging skill. Certainly if you're going to take the ship into low sec, I recommend the Tech 2 missile launcher, simply because then you can use the rage ammo on the bigger belt rats. As I showed you in the video, you can deal with most of them with this fit firing rage. However, if you can't fit Tech 2 missile launchers, or you're on a bit more of a budget, because this fit does come to about 14 million, I think there's probably about $1 million's worth of stuff in the whole, 2 millions in fact, so about a 12 million ISK fit there with the Tech 2 launchers. If you need to go a little bit more low skill, you could go for the Arbalest compact missile launchers. You can then fit 2 ballistic control system 2s, leaving all the rest of the fit exactly the same. And you'll actually get a little bit more DPS out of this one because of these here. You get 133.3, so a little bit more DPS using the Tech 1 launchers if we're only going to use the Tech 1 ammo anyway. And there's no real need to use any kind of expensive ammo on these sites whatsoever. There is an even cheaper version. Sorry, that one was 10 million with the compact missile launchers. If you go for the Meta 3 missile launchers, the TE 2100s with the regular light missiles, you're going to be getting 114.6 DPS, which is enough. It'll just take a little bit longer. But this fit is all about the range control and just making sure you're not taking any damage. And if you do, you've got more than enough capacity to rep it up. But we've got a 47 kilometer range. That may come down a little bit if you've got lower skills, but it's still going to be a good range. And that means none of the rats are going to be able to hit you. And that is the principle of using this fit. Kiting, using the range of the missiles to kill them. Rep up Really, more so you can get straight onto another site, really. You don't need to redock to recharge your shields. So they've taken a little bit of a hammering. You don't need to go and get any reps. You can just rep up using that as you're going along. But we're never going to be desperate. We're never going to be close to dying. And that's only 5 million ISKless version of the fit. That's the difference between using the Meta 3 and the Meta 4 launchers. That's the only difference between the two fits. Right, if I simulate the fit, and this is the one that we're in with the Tech 2 launchers, we'll see we're up to 5277 EHP. The resistances are pretty fair across the board. We've got the EM hole closed. We're up to 39% on the thermal resistances. That's pretty good. The fourth mid slot, and I'm going to say this is the fourth one, you could experiment with this. I'm not sure, as you'll see when we're running the sites, we can manage the damage quite well. You could maybe change this for a target painter, which might up your damage application a little bit, kill some stuff a little bit quicker. Missile guidance computer isn't really going to help, because all you're going to do is actually give your missiles a longer range, and you can potentially lock them anyway. So, but you could experiment here. Certainly if you're going into low sec, you might want to put a bit of tackle on there. A web, if the rats do come and try to chase you in close, to slow them down so you can pull range, or just, you know, slow them down in general, make it easier for you to hit them. So this one you can have a little play with, but this is just really the safe basic fit to get you going with the absolute minimum risk of anything going wrong, as is usually the case when I show you the fits in these videos. Remember, the bonus on the Corax is specifically for kinetic light missile and rocket damage, so do just stick to the kinetic missiles. Even if there are potential resistant holes to be exploited, I don't think you're going to do much better than that damage bonus right there. You're also getting a 10% damage per level of Caldari destroyer to your explosion velocity, which is basically makes them more effective at hitting faster ships. And the roll bonus is a 50% bonus to your light missile and rocket max velocity, which in effect is a range increase, because the range of your missiles is the velocity times the flight time. A quick mention to the Talwar, which is so similar. They could have been separated at birth. The only real differences are the 5% per level bonus to missile damage is for explosive damage, and they get a 15% per level bonus or decrease to signature radius when running the micro warp drives. That is basically the only difference. The Talwar's a little bit faster, a little bit more agile, but they really are very, very similar ships in all respects. The Talwar's got one less mid slot and one more low slot, so potentially more DPS, I guess. So 3 versions of the fit, 12 million, 10 million and 5 million. All will do the job. It just depends what else you want the ship to do, really. Okay, we're going to head out to a den now. We're going to warp to the den at 30. If you press that arrow, you warp at 0. That's where all the damage is, and this is all about staying away. So let's start on the right foot. So warp to a den at 30, maybe 20 kilometers, depending on the actual ship you're in. But in the Corax, 30 is absolutely fine. We're never going to be within our missile range of 47, and give us lots of room to set ourselves up to minimize the damage coming in. You can decide whether to split your launchers or not, because most of these rats will be one shot by all 7 launchers. You want to prioritise the towers, simply because they've got the longest range. They're the ones that are going to reach out and touch you, whilst you're staying away from the rest of the rats. So just settle in, click at a point in space over there, just fly across them like this, so you've got a bit of traversal on them, in case anyone does get out to shoot at you. And just as they get in closer to you, take them down. It is as simple as that on a den. Now a den can escalate into a 5 out of 10. Which is well worth having a go at. Alpha wise, I've done them in a Drake and I've done them in a Praxis. They do take a long time, there's a lot to kill. But to be honest, the technique, again, for those higher level sites is what you're learning right here. It's the kiting, it's all about the range control. And much as you know I love my gun destroyers, I have to admit that it's all easier in a missile destroyer, simply because you've got no tracking to worry about. You've only got to worry about your range. You don't have to switch ammo types around for different ranges, etc, etc. It's all kind of ready to go. What I've found is, obviously on the cruisers, you're going to want to hit them with all your launchers. Some of the rats you just want a couple of launchers on each. The toughest frigates, I'd put 3 on one and 4 on the other. They'll take a couple of salvos to take down. but that's probably the most economical way I've found to generalize a little whilst running through this. Now, I've done videos in the past of the whole run through of the den and of the 3 out of 10, the Serpentis Narcotics warehouse. So this video is the abridged version of those sites, but it's basically the same technique because this is about the fit and applying it. Now, you could get a Shadow Serpentis turn up on a den and he could drop you some nice loot, but it's really about the escalations and hunting lows. But good luck. Let me know the best loot you've ever got off a den. I'd be interested to know. The den obviously spawns in waves, and the last wave, this one right here, is the worst one. I've just had my locks cut off there by the sensor damping, but that's again never really going to be an issue. You'll still be in range to get a lock and they'll be well out of range to do you any damage. There's a little bit of incoming damage of course, but as you can see it's just never scary. Keep the Afterburner running, that keeps your speed up, makes you a little bit of a harder target. Keep the Hardener running, mitigate any hits you do get, and rep as necessary. But I've certainly found on a few runs that I've done, just hang out around here, flying backwards and forwards basically, killing them as they come, getting a bit closer to the last couple of cruisers if you want to, but there's no real need to. Being a little bit braver than I need to be there, and taking the damage that you're going to get as a result. But all round though, this ship has absolutely no problems. It would be a very good way for you to get some escalations and get used to the whole kiting thing. And yet the 5mm ship will do this just as well as this one here, which was the 12mm fit. It will just take a little longer. And if you aspire to that kind of roaming Jackdaw explorer sight runner, I can't think of a better ship to be flying and learning exactly how to use the Jackdaw in that kind of kitey fit for PVE than flying a Corax, or maybe a Talwar if you're that way inclined, whilst you're learning the skills and making the money to get yourselves into the T3 destroyer. I'm lingering here to take down the 2 bunkers on the den. I was told a long time ago you needed to get the escalation, and I have got the escalation as they've died. Not in this instance, but before for sure. But it doesn't mention it on the EVE wiki page. It may have changed. Let me know if you know. Anyway, now we're on the 3 out of 10 Serpentis Narcotics warehouse, which I scanned down in my Heron, and I popped and got the Corax. In fact, I had it docked in the system ready for just such an event. In fact, thank you to Caffeine, because it was him who told me which signature was a 3 out of 10, because there were lots and lots in here when I came in here to start looking. Now the 3 out of 10 is a gated site. You get no choice as to where you land when you come into the first room, and you will be a little bit close to some of the rats, so all you just need to do is find out where they are in relation to you and fly away in the other direction with your shield hardener on and your afterburner burning. Get out to somewhere near a comfortable range for you, so I'm aiming for probably about 40k here. Kill these guys that are close on the way out. Settle down, and it's basically the same system as we used on the 3 out of 10. We're just going to control the range. The difference here is that you do have, rather than waves, everything is in a room at once, but there are kind of mobs that are distinct, and if you aggro a bit of them, they'll all sort of start coming towards you. So there's a little bit of aggro management to be done here. Although it's not an instance where if you get that wrong, it's going to go really wrong for you. Again, prioritize any turrets or launchers that you can see in the room with you. You may want to kill a few rats that are up close first before you get into range to take those down. But as you can see over there, the rats are spread out, so you just pick them off group by group, move in closer at your leisure. And this site really shouldn't present you with any kind of challenge whatsoever if you just stay away from where all the damage is, and that's way over there. In this first room you need to go here to supply traffic management, and in there you will get the traffic management key. You need to go through whichever gate you pick for the next room, and you've got a choice. You could loop back round and clear both of the second rooms. It's entirely up to you. I don't find the loot on these sites in the wrecks to be anything exciting at all. It's entirely up to you whether you bother flying around or deploying a mobile tractor unit to hoover that stuff up for you. Right, I've gone into the security room for the second room. You get more rats in the security room than you do in check-in to kill. I think there is a chance of more loot. It might drop an extra Shadow Serpentis module. Unfortunately, on my little run through today, nobody really drops me anything worth telling you about at all. But there you go. I've put the speed up to 2 times because this is literally just rinse and repeat room to room. That room is cleared. Onto the third room. Take out the turrets because they're going to reach out and get you, and then just kill them as they come out towards you, really. There are more groups here. Once we get into the last room, you'll see that if you actually were to fly in there early on and or have to get in close, you would be attracting so much damage. I've yet to try a 3 out of 10 in a blaster destroyer. I've done dens in them and it's very exciting, but not a 3 out of 10. Maybe I'll try that just to see if I could possibly get away with it. I think I'd have to do a lot of running away. It might take longer despite the technically higher DPS, because let's not forget it's all about the application, really. I like that effect off the acceleration gate there. That was quite cool. Final room, look at them all. The loot for the site is in the Serpentis supply stronghold. Do not shoot it. Shooting that aggroes the whole room, and that's the last thing we need. As you can see over there are distinct groups of rats. All we're going to do is pick them off one by one. Doesn't matter if we kind of aggro 2 at once. We've got so much range to play with, and we're going to keep it that way, that we are always going to be the ones that are in control. Now there are a couple of turrets that you need to kind of sneak in and take out, because they will apply damage pretty consistent. They will apply damage to you pretty consistently the whole time you're on the room, so you will want to get to them. But certainly anything that's out close to you ship wise, take it down before it can get and do damage. Pick off the turrets, work your way in, leave the supply stronghold till last. The supply stronghold has a very big tank to it. It'll take you a while to kill it. Running in here to do the smash and grab. In fact, here I am killing it slowly. Running in to do a smash and grab on that is not an option unless you were in a very powerful ship. You couldn't bring through the gate, in fact. So, yeah. Just take your time, control your range, pump all your remaining ammo into this huge tanky structure at the end, and hope for the best. Now we can drop a Daredevil blueprint copy, which is very nice. It can drop Shadow Serpentis modules. I think the most I've ever had off of a 3 out of 10 is about 200 million. But very often, and unfortunately, I think today is going to be one of those cases, I'm going to get basically the bare minimum loot off of this site. But that's not a problem. The loot fairy is all about the karma, and my day shall come. I am getting the opportunity to get some very nice screenshots up here. Though on some sites, I must say that the clouds and the kind of washing out can make it a little bit hard on the eyes when you're in one of those really beige, bright clouds. Anyway, we finally killed the thing, and the site is cleared without a moment's stress. And it is a very simple technique to employ. It's a very simple fit to use, and I thoroughly recommend it. So I hope you've enjoyed our little day out in the Corax, my friends. I hope this is of use to you. Please let me know in the comments and leave me a like if you've liked it. Subscribe if you want to stay in touch. We'll be back soon. But for now, take care of yourselves and each other. Fly brave and goodbye.